Hey there, everybody. I want to set things straight and say that this is the Everything in Poderation podcast, where we appreciate puns, things on the internet, and especially when things on the internet go just too far. I'm Daly, and I am feeling super, but I'm not super straight. I'm kind of the opposite.
Hi, I'm Colin, and I'm a Sigma male. Wait, super.
That's the other episode.
All lives matter. Super straight. Guys, I need help. I think I'm broken.
Cut his mic.
I'm Robert, and you're not dealing with the average straight man. I've gone even further beyond. I can't even get through it. It's a Dragon Ball stupid joke. Super fucking straight. It's so dumb.
So you're going beyond. You're ascending beyond super straight, and now you're just super Robert.
It does.
You're
and then we need to have
super straight.
And tune in at the end when there are 15 minutes straight of me screaming to finally reach super straight 3.
Yeah. I look forward to that.
What do you mean? I could go super straight 3 this whole time, but I stayed as super straight 2, just so it could be an even match.
So I don't know if you guys, these two chuckleheads have obviously heard about it, but I don't know if our audience at large has heard of the phenomenon of the super straight. There's a level beyond straightness. I'm a believer that sexuality is, a sliding scale. It's very fluid. And in this case, this is on the farthest side of being straight that there is. The super straight movement. I want to say it was like 2 months ago, maybe, that it reared its head. It's very recent.
All started on TikTok.
It all started on TikTok, as many things do.
Just like all the good things.
First fucking video I watched, because I was like, okay, usually my first go-to to getting informed on some topics is like, oh, what's going on in the YouTuber space? Like, what do the YouTubers have to say about this? And the first thing that came up is like, yeah, this all started on a video on TikTok, and I was like,
of course.
Okay. Yep. Of course. That makes sense.
We can actually identify the super straight movement founder, Kyle Royce.
Patient Zero.
Patient Zero.
Of course his name
of
is
the
fucking Kyle.
This boy named Kyle made a TikTok about how he is super straight, which is basically just straight people that don't date trans people, is how he has defined it, and how many people have then picked that up and are continuing to define it as I guess a argument to people being like, oh, you're transphobic if you don't want to date trans people. And they're like, no, I'm not transphobic, I'm super straight.
Yeah. At first glance, it came across as like that scene from Rick and Morty. It was like, I don't date transphobic people. It's like, okay, that was always allowed. Like, yeah.
the him walking out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. The whole thing is just like, okay, dude, everybody has a preference. Good for you. Now it's just turning into a thing with, it is very much reminiscent to me with the whole like Black Lives Matter. No, all lives matter. Type thing.
Yeah. That I think it's worth saying, because I there might be some people in the audience who might identify or understand and sympathize with the super straight movement. And I get it, that's fine. If that's your bag, that's your bag. This is honestly a very difficult episode for me, because part of me, as you know, is no kink shaming, right? As in the underlying message being whatever, like everyone is turned on and is sexually charged by very different things. And it's no one's job, or no one has the authority to tell you what you are and are not turned on by, right? So if that's how they identify, that's how they identify. Where it gets real shaky is that they feel oppressed. They feel a lack of representation. They feel like they need to be part of the the LGB community, because they are as equally oppressed as gay people, as bi people, and as lesbian people were.
Yep.
And that's stupid.
That's a cursory scan through Twitter or Reddit, which there originally was a subreddit for this, but it got banned pretty damn fast within weeks of its creation. But there is still I'll say, I guess, thriving community on Twitter about the hashtag super straights and people coming out as super straight and waving of the orange and black flag, which as soon as I saw it, I was just like, this just looks like Slade from fucking Teen Titans, because when on people's, icons, it's a circle. So I was just like, why is everyone Slade? Slade is the original super straight guys.
What makes me sadder is it's killing Halloween I know Halloween's far away and everything around the world is already scary that it feels like we've been in Halloween for the past year. But black and orange is very Halloween to me. I love that. Now it's super straight. And it's hard for me to love.
It's hard to love. It's hard to love. Like, I get it when people are like, oh, like, I identify as this. And like, that gets you excited when you're like, an identity, a part of me has a name for it. I totally get that. But where I am after that cursory scroll through all the Slade icons is that this is just a way to say, I don't like trans people. It's fine if like no one's trying to force anyone to date trans people, but the way that the tweets have been going and the Reddit posts have been going and Mr. Royce on TikTok has been going makes it seem like the trans rights activists are the enemy that are trying to get us to sleep with people we don't want to, and that's rape. Those words have been used. Yeah. Like, I'm not exaggerating this.
Let me ask, because I am not too attuned to what's going on in this community across different platforms. So, like, was there actually a group of people that were calling others transphobic just because, like, like you have to date trans, or like, hey, like if you say you don't have a preference towards trans people, like, what the fuck, Like, you have to date trans. Was there people doing that? Like, actually?
Not that I'm aware. At least if there were, it wasn't a big enough movement to paint the entire trans community as like
absolutely not
rapists, right? Like, because that's stupid.
No.
But
that's what I'm saying is like, are these fucking super straight people making something out of nothing?
The statement that I think is getting twisted is that when people are making their TikToks and their like super straight coming out videos, they're like, well, I could never date someone who's trans because I want, that's not a real woman to me, or that's not a real man to me. And that's transphobic to say that you're not a real whatever. You're not a real person. You're not a real, like, you're not the real gender that you identify as. And it's fine to be like, I prioritize like having children, so I can't date a trans woman or something like that. But it's like, that's a really weird hill to die on. But you have the right to die. That was always allowed. You're always allowed to die on that hill.
Yeah. And even for something less noble as like children, right? Like, it's okay to have a preference for genitalia, right? Like, you can prefer different things down there because, like, obviously whatever's down there is very relevant to your sexual interests and what can and can't happen during sex, right? So I think that's fine. But when you're basing your entire fucking stupid identity on not trans people, that is pretty transphobic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's where they're like, we're being attacked by the trans rights activists that are saying that we're transphobic because we don't like trans people.
Oh my God. See, that's the thing is, like, you can say like my preference is, I have a genital preference. And that saying genital preference is actually a phrase I want to credit the queer Kiwi on YouTube, because I watched her video about this whole situation. I think she put a lot of the argument against super straight pretty succinctly. But yeah, a lot of it is just like, you can say like, okay, like, that's just not my preference, and you can just stop there. You don't need to say anything else. You don't need to say that trans people are women or men, etc. You don't need to say any of that. You can just stop it like, this is my preference, or that's not my preference. That's all you have to say. That's fine. Yeah. Everyone has their preference. It's encoded in their brain that like it's like, you like who you like. That's fine. No one's gonna like give you shit because you have like, you know, an inane preference as to who you choose in your sexual and dating life. No one's giving anyone shit for that. It's going out of their way to say harmful things about other people, especially groups that are oppressed already. And so when you're like claiming to be super straight and create this quote unquote new sexuality, you're trying to claim that you're this oppressed group when cis hetero people have been perfectly fine and just the majority throughout history. Like they've been the most, that's the majority. That's fine. Like that's like you have never had an issue throughout history being a cis hetero person.
Actually,
gay people and trans people have gotten attacked and fucking murdered.
Actually, cis is a slur.
Oh.
So watch your language, Colin.
That's like saying Karen's a fucking slur. They can't get that shit out of here.
That's one of the things I've run into where it's like cis is just a way to like shut us down because like we can't be part of the conversation if we're cis. And it's like clearly cis people have been part of the conversation always. It's this weird thing where it's like because trans people are getting attention and trans issues are being more talked about not only in mainstream media but especially online, where people are able to feel more comfortable to talk about their own personal situations. It's like, no, pay attention to me. I'm super straight. It feels like an attention grab.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. And
yes.
For me, it's like, it's the same argument as why we don't have a white pride month, right? Is because white is the normal right now. Like that is the most generally accepted quote unquote normal, right? So we don't need to point out whiteness. We don't need to point that out. In the same way, straightness, we don't need to highlight or cushion that at all, right? Because that's just the quote unquote normal. And that's why we have like gay pride, because that needs to be highlighted to make it more normal, right?
Right.
And these super straight people are like, wait a minute, I don't feel special anymore. My normalness is being highlighted and I can't accept that. I need to now be special by creating the super straights. Yeah. They can't just be okay with it.
They're the same people that are going to call other people snowflakes when they're trying to become a snowflake themselves. Like well, their answer to that is like, I'm gonna act like that I'm a snowflake and blah, blah, blah. And all of this comes back to our beloved word. Say it with me now. Privilege.
Privilege. I don't know how to spell it. I misspell privilege a lot, actually. I have to spell check my privilege.
Oh, I get it. You do get the silent Q in there, right?
Oh, shit.
It's for QAnon.
Right. Just the way we put the A as in LGBTQIA plus is for allies.
Oh.
Allies. Because they're all, that's what this reminds me a lot of, is that like when in the early days when when schools were like, we're allowed to have a gay straight alliance and stuff now, and kids were like, I should be, I'm oppressed because I support you, so I should be in the acronym.
Mm-hmm. It's so ridiculous to me. And what I just don't understand about this is this concept of like, how do you phrase this? Let's say, for example, someone who does identify as super straight, right? Let's say Kyle, just a guy named Kyle. Let's say he sleeps with someone and then finds out they're a trans woman, but he liked sleeping with them, but he's super straight, but he liked it. That like how do you make that work in your brain without going crazy? You know what I mean?
I don't think you do. I think these type of people, a lot of them, they have incredibly fragile identities. They're fragile when it comes to their sexuality. They're just the type of people that they don't have a whole lot of self-confidence. They don't feel strongly about themselves. Is my guess.
They also seem to have, they do have a weird amount of confidence in, that they would be able to identify a trans person in all situations.
Outwardly, sure, but I feel like internally that's like, Why do you need to go out of your way to, like, what do you have to prove? You know, like, you don't have anything to fucking prove to anyone. Like, you have a preference when it comes to your sexuality. Okay, good for you. You want a fucking cookie? Like,
yeah, I need a super straight cookie.
They want cookies.
You want a Slade
cookies.
You want a Slade colored cookie? By the way,
my God.
Slade is still a villain. Slade is the bad guy.
Yeah.
I have to bring up that I wondered originally if the reason why they chose the colors was because Pornhub colors. It's like the same. I haven't gone in and looked at the hex codes or anything, but it's reminiscent, I gotta say, of Pornhub.
But there's gay and trans porn on Pornhub.
There sure is. But that brings me to we have been talking about this in a serious way, in a way that assumes that these people are genuinely believing what they're believing in. But was this started as a troll? Was this started as a joke? What is this meant to be a joke? And then there's just those weird vocal people that have been like, yes, it's real.
That's
I'm
actually
super straight.
me.
Yeah. I mean, so we talked about similar kind of harmful points of views and ideologies before on this show, and a lot of my instinct when it comes to things like this is just like, why? Like, if we don't give it a platform, then it doesn't have a platform. You know, like the stuff that, like, this incredibly harmful collection of ideas doesn't get put out there. But on the flip side, like, is it a good thing that we're talking about it because, you know, like, hey, this sucks and here's why, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think if this was started by a troll, right, it doesn't change the fact that now the movement is not troll at all. The super straight movement is unfortunately real. These people unfortunately actually feel oppressed, and they feel the need to flaunt themselves, to feel pride, because God forbid straight people feel
straight pride
represented and proud of who they are.
It just sounds like another thing for these Sigma alpha male type incel people, another thing to grasp onto.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, to respond to your idea, Colin, of like, should we just not talk about it? Like, because if we don't say it, then
yeah. I mean, obviously we're talking about it now, but
right. But I think not saying it or not talking about it is what can be more harmful, because then it's like a tacit, like, acceptance, or not even acceptance, but just like the fact that this is happening. I have no opinions about it is what we would be saying if we didn't talk about it.
You're leaving it unchallenged. Basically.
Right. And you know, I don't want to go as far as like silence is violence, but it's like, if you stay silent about this, you're neither agreeing or disagreeing, but the fact that you're not there, you might as well be agreeing. Whereas if you're there and saying you disagree, that is far more impactful.
Yeah, I hear that. It's just the other flip side that can be worrisome too is just like, yeah, like, if you're giving it a platform but then also challenging it, that's good. But on the flip side too, the fact that it's reaching more people, also you risk more people agreeing with that ideal too.
I see where you're coming from. I do remember that I could probably go back in our Discord chats to find the day that it started. It was trending on Twitter very briefly, the whole super straight thing, and at that time it was difficult to suss out whether or not this was a troll or whether or not people were actually like gung-ho about this. But at this point in time, several weeks later, it's not a troll anymore, guys. It had its own Reddit subreddit that got deleted for reasons, probably transphobic reasons.
Oh, wait, what? Are you telling me that this movement is built on hate?
What? That's the thing, is that the whole thing can't exist without just being like, fuck trans people a little bit, or not fucking trans people.
Yeah, rather. I guess technically, right?
But what was more troubling to me was that, and it wasn't, like the people coming out or the people being like, super straight pride. It was the Discord that they had, and I did not enter into the Discord myself, but I did see someone in a video go into the Discord and all of like the channels. And one of those channels was exposing superphobes, which was just a way to basically like, hey, here someone tweeted that super straights like as a concept is dumb. Let's go dogpile them.
Yeah. Lovely.
Which is great.
That's just what we need.
And can we talk about how ridiculous superphobia is just as a concept, like being hateful? I mean,
are we
yes.
superphobic?
I will proudly be superphobic because what we're saying is, I don't know, we're being anti-trans. Yeah, is that right? That's enough antis? That's the correct number?
Yeah, it's a double negative.
Yes. We're not TERFs up in here. We established that with the J.K. Rowling episode, which I highly recommend. And here we are again talking about people being fucky to trans people. Yeah. Stop it.
I don't know, man. By the way, was that Discord? Could you say it was discordant? I was holding on to that joke and I had to get it out there. I'm sorry.
I get it.
In the face.
Yeah. There was a lot of discord in that Discord.
Yeah.
It was a very chaotic place.
Because they're trying to. It sounds like they're trying to make being superphobic, and that's air quotes, the equivalent of being heterophobic? ? Is that what they're getting at?
I guess so.
Which is like the grandfather to like superphobic, I'd say, because ever since there's been gay pride, there's been people saying, what about straight pride? And therefore people being like, well, you're just being heterophobic. It's okay to be straight. And then printing t-shirts and buying those t-shirts and wearing those t-shirts. I saw a fine person today wearing it. It's okay to be straight shirt on the internet. Good. It was not in person. I don't see people in
not for
person
300
anymore.
years.
I don't know if this comes across as a bold statement, but it's like, if you're not part of an oppressed group, every day is pretty much your pride day. Because guess what? You're not oppressed, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like,
like it's pretty. I mean, it's to the point where you don't really need to feel pride because you feel it every day. It's like you're numb to the pride, you know? Like you need something. You need a heavier dose of pride, and the only way to get it is at the expense of oppressing others.
Oh.
Or what about checking your privilege, which doesn't, and I feel like when I say that, people are like, equate that to like, you should feel guilty instead of being like, wow, I'm in a very lucky position that not everyone is in. And these are the reasons why I might be having a better time of it than other people. And not necessarily like being like, oh, that's great, but being like, this is why I'm able to do some things that other people aren't able to do, which doesn't have to inherently come with guilt.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can't control how you're born is what that boils down to, but it's how you use it and how, you know,
Mewtwo taught me that.
Exactly. And being well informed, and it's like, okay, so like if you understand your position, it's either like be an ally to others who feel oppressed, or at the very least just shut up.
Yeah. Like what I've always never understood about straight pride, white pride, all these like things that are already the majority pride, right, is that these people treat it like a zero-sum game. Like if there's a gay pride parade, that means there will be less straight people, and that's a bad thing. Where, okay, yes, like if you're gonna say you put 100 people in the room, but then you let some of them decide that they can be gay because that's a decision, I guess. Yes, there will be less gay or less straight people in the room. Is that a bad thing? No, that just means more people can finally express themselves and be who they actually are. And I'm willing to bet you'll still be able to find a straight person out there because that's how the world works. Yeah, it's a numbers game, but it's not a zero-sum game, right? But you can support gay people, you can support trans people, you can support black people, even if you are not any of those, and you will still be fine. Pro tip, you'll still be fine. It'll be okay. Shh, it's okay. Here's your little baba. Here's your Smirnoff vodka ice, and just sip on it. You'll be okay. Here's your gun. You can shoot it in the backyard, but not people. You'll be okay.
Yeah, here you go. I can't help but feel that, these people, it's like they want everything and everyone to be the same. Like they want this country to be, or I mean, really the world to be just a giant ball of same. If everywhere could be small town Midwest USA, that would be fine by them. That everyone's white, everyone's straight. That's fine. Oh, God forbid someone looks or thinks different than me. No, that can't happen. That's not allowed because that scares me because I'm fragile. I don't feel
not that fragile.
But I feel threatened if people don't look or think like me. And it's like, wow, man. Yeah, you got some thinking to do, bro.
Got some thinking to do.
Yeah. But by the way, on that note, are there actually any women of any sort that are involved?
I think there are a few
statement.
Just a few women out there.
Like, are there women involved in the super straight? Because all I can tell is it's fucking pasty ass white dudes.
Like genuinely, my man. Like I've definitely seen some women in this movement, but I would say that the majority of people are dudes saying that they're super straight.
And that one woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And that one woman.
Fueled by that Jewish space laser, her hatred is searing.
Yeah, she gets rid of COVID by doing CrossFit. I don't know if you guys saw that video, but that was a thing.
Good shit! I guess that's what you should be doing. I mean, I feel like it's very frustrating. Dude, I would not recommend to scroll through the super straight Twitter, because then like I want to be like, yes, normalize coming out in many ways, because then that normalizes like coming out, but not when it's I'm a hashtag super straight male and I'm only attracted to females who were born female with working uteruses and not attracted to men wanting to be women. I'm super proud and don't misgender me or make any hashtag super straight biphobic slurs / remarks unless you're a bigot. Hashtag super straight pride.
Yes.
And I can't tell if that's real, but I think it is.
Live in your truth. Yes.
Live your truth.
Go fuck off. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's. Do you know why they call it coming out? It's because the expectation is you're probably straight because we live in a straight, normalized, cis hetero world, right? So you have to come out by what you're saying is actually mom and dad, loved ones, whatever. I am not, as you would expect, straight. I am actually XYZ. And that's why it's brave when someone comes out that way, right? Would I love if we lived in a world where that wouldn't have to be brave anymore and you could just be like, oh yeah, I'm gay, whatever? Absolutely. But that's not the world we live in. If you are fucking being brave and coming out and just saying, guys, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I can't live a lie anymore. I can't live with myself if you just think I'm straight. So, guys, I need to tell you, I'm actually super straight. Come on,
yes.
Really?
I would rather. This is gonna sound like a slight, but I would rather someone tell me, like, in confidence, that they were a furry, well before
they were super straight.
Well before they were super. If someone came up to me and legitimately, in confidence, unironically told me I identify as super straight now, this is my coming out, I would laugh them out of the fucking room.
I mean, that's kind of the thing too, is that it's like, what do you do? What do you do with that? Like someone coming to you with that, but in a genuine conversation with a hashtag super straight, I think I would just have to say, like, why do you feel that strongly about it? And then I think once you start unpacking that, guess what's at the center of this? It's a little thing called transphobia.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like,
now
You have a weird idea in your head about what trans people are like, and I don't think it's a correct one. That's my big assumption about super straight folks.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if someone's told me this, like if it was someone that I knew like well, and they unironically, unironically told me this in confidence, after I was done laughing, I would have a serious conversation with them, you know, like and help understand, like try to understand where they're coming from and why, and then tell them why that's concerning from my end. Like I would tell them why that's an issue, you know?
Right.
I mean, I mean, again, Daly and I both really come from places that are majority white, majority heterosexual, right? Like very small town America. I mean, racism and homophobia are very real in these places. And so it's not unlikely that this could foster an environment in which super straight could be a thing. It would not surprise me. And so, I mean, it's a very real conversation that could be had, is what I'm trying to say.
Do you think, because we're talking about Smallville here, do you think that Superman identifies as super straight?
I think yes, but it's not because he's like anti-trans, but I think it's just like everything about him is super. So he just has to like you know what I mean? Like
he's legally obligated.
Like he doesn't just have arms, he has super arms. You know, he doesn't just drive a car, he drives a supercar. He's not just straight, he's super straight. But it's not like a transphobe thing.
Yeah. And
Superman's a good man. He wouldn't be like that.
He's super good.
He's super good.
And again, like not to be, you know, I think we've laid out pretty well by now, like how we feel about the whole super straight thing. And at the end of the day, it's not to be reductive too, because I mean, on the discussion that we were having earlier, like these are things that we're talking about. And if there are people out there that feel this way, definitely, if you know someone, have a conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? And help them understand like why that's hurtful. Because the thing is about these people that we talk about that are super, you know, like super straight, alpha, beta, sigma, whatever. Those people have to have friends or like know people that have opposing views. You know what I'm saying? Like
well, maybe not if we're talking small town America, buddy.
Maybe not. But like, I mean, there's got to be someone around them in their circle somewhere that's like, hey, that's not how I feel, and here's why. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they don't put it as succinctly. Maybe they don't argue it as well. But like, you know, there's got to be people around them to help them realize. You know what I'm saying? I mean, originally, I'm sure it stems from like how they were raised, the environment they grew up in, whatever. But like, ultimately, there's got to be someone out there that can help them, like, understand.
Yeah, as much as we have like memed on this, I do think that it might just take a conversation and like unpacking like what is at the core of that, because I'm willing to bet that it's just some outdated false beliefs, or maybe just wanting to feel like you're part of something, which don't we all? I totally get that. But maybe don't be a part of something that's super exclusive to people that have had a hard time of it. You know, inclusivity is nice.
That would be nice, except for pistachio lovers.
Wow, Robert, you're just gonna call out pistachio lovers like that?
Yeah.
Well, wait, what side do you want? You want fucking with the cashews?
I meant pistachio ice cream. Sorry, pistachio ice cream lovers.
Okay, we've gone over before. I think why you feel betrayed by pistachio ice cream.
So it's not the chocolate chip,
which it should be. It should be.
It has to be.
Are you representing the cashews?
What I think is at the core of this super straight thing, right, is a lack of understanding, and you know, I mean, it's human nature to be afraid of what you don't know. Which I know that sounds very reductive, and like I'm treating them like children, which is only,
you did give them a bottle earlier.
True. Yeah, it's kind of true, but I mean, I encourage them to try and understand this more, right? And try to understand like why it's transphobic. You know, they're just trying to blanket statement say we aren't transphobic without addressing why they aren't transphobic. Because once you get into trying to answer the question, why are you not transphobic? I think you'd realize, wait a minute, this is transphobic, right? It just takes a little bit of like educating yourself. And I'm not gonna be the one to say like I'm an expert in all things trans people, right? I think even trans people aren't experts in all things trans people, because every trans person in the world experiences something different, and it's just a part of their identity, right? There's parts of it that are communal, there are parts of it that are individual, right? But nonetheless, the super straight thing is getting to the core of a trans woman isn't a woman, a trans man isn't a man, and that makes me angry. You know, that's their whole vibe, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like you're attracted to chromosomes at that point, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I've told, like, I've said this anecdote several times before, but I just want to kind of reiterate it because, again, like I said, Daly and I grew up in small town America, Midwest, blah, blah, blah. And I will admit, like, I wasn't the smartest kid growing up. I'm not like fucking well traveled. I'm not well read. You know, I definitely wasn't growing up. I was surrounded by mostly white people, some of which were homophobic. You know, and I mean, it wasn't uncommon to be passing through the school hallways and hearing the F slur for gay people being thrown around.
Good.
You know, like it was just gay was a bad word growing up. You like, hey, like gay was a replacement for stupid. Do you guys remember that ad campaign?
Yes.
When you say gay, do you know what you say? I remember that. And honestly, like sometime after that, like I stopped using that word in that context. Because there very much was a time when I would throw that around, you know, and I mean, shit, the F word, the F slur for gay people was in movies. It was in TV shows. Like it was all over I mean, one of the first lines in Fast and the Furious, Paul Walker gets called the F word. And so it's like, it was a different time, you know, and people have learned since then. A lot of people have, but you know, it's the environment that you're surrounded in. And a lot of it, like, I mean, yeah, okay. Like I did the stereotypical thing. I grew up, I graduated high school and I went off to college and I met a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. That's certainly an advantage that I had. And I acknowledge that. But what that translates into is just going out of your way to get out of your comfort zone and talk to people is really what I'm getting at. Have conversations. I mean, everyone's fucking human, dude. Like you can talk to them, you know, like have a conversation and understand where people are coming from. You may disagree with them, disagree with them. And that's okay. Like disagreeing is fine. But just because someone has different genitalia than you or was once a man and transitioned, you know, like that doesn't make them any less human.
Yeah. The thing is that there's so much information out there, which is a fantastic result of the internet. It's one of the examples of the internet not being too much, because if anything, we could use more information on various subjects. But so I can't blame people when they're ignorant of something, especially because like you might have had an upbringing similar to mine. But I can and I will get salty when people are presented with the correct information and are like, nope, I'm going to stay ignorant. I'm going to keep on with the snap judgment that I made. That's the result of my upbringing and whatever else has been in my head lately.
Yeah. And what's so sad is that feeds into the fragility, right, of when you're so adamant about your binary sexual orientation, right? And that like a lot of these people, like if you're a super straight male, right, that underneath that I'm getting a faint whiff of toxic masculinity and alpha chadness, right? Even if you're not an alpha, right? Like there's this vibe of I need to be seen as a man. And the only way I can be seen as a man is if I have a lot of sex with cis women. Not those fake women, of course, because that's not manly to date someone like that. And it just gives them the space to really double down on all of these awful, bad ideas and concepts of what it means to be a human being on this little planet, right? And that's what leads them to kind of see the world in a way where it's okay to be transphobic, because they're not being transphobic. They're just being proud of who they are. They're protecting their way of life. And it's kind of sad, you know?
Yeah, to then have your views cemented to the point where you then feel like you need to create some sort of like counter movement is, I mean, that's troubling. That says something that like somewhere along the line, someone reinforced those ideals, or someone let you keep them and kind of just fester to the point where that's how you react and feel about those things you see on the internet. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, there's something to be said about like, you know, I mean, I had plenty of my moments of ignorance growing up. You know, I'm still not the smartest person in the room, but there was times when I did have ignorant or stubborn viewpoints. I literally, in my Facebook bio for the longest time, my political affiliation, my political view, I literally typed this into my political views. It said, "Don't care unless as long as it doesn't affect me." How fucking ignorant is that? That is incredibly ignorant. And I completely, like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard nowadays. And in some cases, that's what some of these people are, is what I'm trying to say. Other people are just like, you're so stubborn and you can argue with them all you want. It's like, I don't know where to go with this conversation after that.
Yeah. Well, it's not only that, it's also, these are the kind of people who will react super negatively. Like, these are the kind of people where if they sleep with a trans woman and then find out they're trans, they might murder them out of anger and surprise. And you know, that may sound like a made up story I just pulled out of the ether, or maybe it's one of the many, many stories that are in statistics out there. Who's to say? Google it, look it up. You'll find out, right? Like, there's a lot of violence against trans people, and this concept of, if I sleep with a trans woman, I'm gay, and I can't be gay, I'm super straight, right? Like, that feeds into that violent view, right? It's okay if you have a preference for not wanting to sleep with someone who's trans. You can have that preference, but don't build it as your as a proud cornerstone of your identity that inherently puts other people down, so you can feel better about the things that Hollywood and pop music already makes you feel is normal.
Yeah, and I want to say,
doesn't leave you any room to grow either, or change, which I think we should always leave ourselves some wiggle room.
Yeah, and I think too, when we talk about topics like this, it's really easy, like, in our heads to create some sort of fake person or persona for what type of person would have, like, hold these beliefs.
Kyle.
Yeah,
fucking Kyle.
Kyle. Kyle is our crash test dummy in this instance. But to be fair, like, people that hold these beliefs could, you know, they could be anyone. They could really come from any walks of life. I mean, there's not really, sure, there's an overwhelming skew maybe to the type of person that would hold these sort of beliefs, but realistically, they could be anyone and come from anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, shit, people in like the parts of the Middle East aren't fucking tolerant of like barely tolerant of cis female people, let alone trans people or gay people, you know? So, I mean, we're far from the only place that has this problem too.
Yeah.
The problem of tolerance.
Yeah. It's a global issue, and it's become more so because of the internet in some ways.
It's exacerbated.
Man. It's a bigger issue than I thought it was. Like, just like, it's at least, let me get the number here. It's at least 8,534 people being the issue, and that's how many people follow the super straight account on
I thought you were
Twitter.
going to say soup, salad, and breadsticks.
Soup, salad, and breadsticks at Olive Garden, because when you're there, you're family.
This episode has been sponsored by Olive Garden.
Guys, at the end times, Olive Garden, they are the great uniter.
There we go. We can all agree. Soup, salad,
Everyone
and breadsticks.
likes soup, salad, and breadsticks. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But not their pasta, funny enough.
No, I do have a pretty negative opinion on the pasta.
That's how you choose out the traitors, the non-believers. He ordered the pasta. Get him.
The impasta.
The impasta.
All right. So I think we've said a lot here, and hopefully said it in a way that leaves anyone that might be thinking that they're super straight some room to reconsider. But it's Slade colors, it's Pornhub colors. We didn't know whether or not it started as a troll. I can't see this having a whole lot of longevity after it's been memed on as hard as it is. I don't think it's going to become the next like incel thing, but I am interested in seeing like where these communities go that have, created themselves on the internet here and on Twitter and originally on Reddit, but got banned. I'm interested in seeing what happens next with the super straights, and I hope it's good news.
I hope so too. I wanted to say, like, as a closing for my side too, like it's also relevant to the point where like some of these places that maybe hold, like with the people that hold these beliefs, that maybe part of that is religion too, and obviously some parts of religion do have fairly oppressive beliefs. Obviously people like to throw the Bible at you when you bring up things with like homosexuality and things like that. But I did read a recent study somewhere on Reddit, and I'll have to find the resource, but it was a survey that was conducted saying that like it was like 80% or so of people like identified as non-affiliated when it came to religion. So there's some kind of progress there, and I think people are slowly realizing that like there are a lot of oppressive aspects to some forms of religion that are just like they just don't translate well to the current society that we live in at all. As they shouldn't. And I mean that kind of my reaction to that was it made me happy to hear that, like, maybe this book full of make believe, shouldn't maybe be adhered to or turn into something that could be weaponized towards a group of people.
You are right, because I do remember now. I mean, because I've obviously read the Bible front to back. It's my favorite book ever, of course. I love the Bible. I remember there's that one part where Moses holds up those slates, the stone tablets,
the Slades, the Slade Wilsons.
Yeah, he holds up the Slades of the 10 Commandments, and then he reads all of them. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's some smart stuff. God's a smart person." And then Moses pulled out a smaller rock. It was like, "Oh, I forgot the 11th commandment. You must be super straight, or else." I forgot.
Yes,
I can't believe we forgot about that important part of the Bible.
We're only about a step away from that happening. I mean, priests, prophets, whoever the fuck you want to say when it comes to religion. I mean, that's basically what they do with the Bible anyway. They take what's there and just kind of turn it on its head in ways that'll profit them anyway.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I see what we did there.
Yeah.
There's going to be at some point we're going to hear about how Jesus was actually super straight, and actually it is now. I found that meme. I will link it below.
Oh no.
There's someone made a fucking JPEG of Jesus that says Jesus was super straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The last thought I want to leave is, I know we've been if you identify as super straight, it can come off like we're talking out of both sides of our head, in that we're saying, hey, you can't hate trans people, or you shouldn't hate trans people, but also we hate super straight people, and that can sound very hypocritical. I think the difference is there, super straight is kind of ridiculous, and it's not a real identity. I'm sorry, but it's hard. You can't just say I have created a new sexuality, and it is the super version of the most dominant sexuality. That's really, like, why? What is the point? Who are you serving?
Extra straight.
Who are you serving other than your own ego, right? And that's fine. I think people should be able to serve their ego, but not at the expense of others. And that is where the majority of the problems lie here.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, the people that are saying these things aren't people that have suffered through like oppression suffered through worrying about being attacked, or
like maybe one time someone tweeted at you like, "Hey, that was transphobic."
Yeah.
Or like, "Hey, fuck you for saying something mean."
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not oppression, though, y'all.
That's why they got to make up the boogeyman of the evil trans person who says, if you don't date me, you're transphobic, so you have to date me. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, trans people, gay people, like they can't go out on the street in certain places and not have the fear of being attacked. I mean, shit, women can't go out, like any woman of any sort can't go out in any place without, having some sort of ongoing fear of like being mugged or raped or attacked or whatever it is, And so to come from a place of saying like all these hurtful things and trying to say like, yeah, well, I've had similar experience. It's like, no, dude, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. I you know how I know? Because I am like a cis white dude. I can walk down the street and be mostly fine. I mean, in Seattle, you're going to get the occasional, like, maybe homeless person, say some weird shit to you. But, like, otherwise, like, I am perfectly confident walking down the street in the middle of the day through the city by myself. I don't have to worry.
You're not going to be attacked for your gender or your race.
No.
Nope.
No, I know I'm not. And I acknowledge that. Like, I know I'm from a place of privilege, and I think these dudes need to do some fucking thinking. They need to do some reflection,
some soul search,
privilege, spell checking.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been our super episode, which this is a super podcast. Just assume the word super is in front of every noun from now on.
This is the super everything in Poderation podcast.
Yes,
the super
as opposed to the
entertainment
regular
system.
Mm-hmm.
It's super. You can super follow us on Twitter at Everything in Pod, and if you have any super or even not so super, if you could just have some okay questions,
we'll even take mediocre or like even shitty.
Even take like shitty questions.
We'll take them.
Just ask like a bad question, like. Yeah. There are no non-super questions. You can send those to us at everythinginpod@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you've all had a super informative time on this podcast, and that you'll join us again in future episodes that are going to be equally super, even if they're not about super straights or the Justice League.
Yeah. Oh, I also want to acknowledge one more thing before we hop off here. Regarding the emails and comments and stuff, if we have said something that you think is maybe out of step or out of line, right, in terms of like trans inclusivity, let us know too. Because again, we're not perfect, we're not paragons, but we're always trying and we always want to help however we can.
Yes.
So let us know too, right, how we're doing. Like
doing so would be super helpful.
Yeah, this is like one of those flaps you see on like semi trucks and driving behind them. It's like, how's our driving? Call this number. But like,
how's our casting? How's our podcasting?
Same.
Let us know.
Is it like
we love hearing from you guys. It really is genuinely super. That's the last time I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah. Unless this is the perfect cast, much like in the Goofy movie.
Mm-hmm. The super perfect cast.
Super.